Hi, this is Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Hey, recently I did a private webinar for a group of advisors, and in the Q&A section, I was asked, what's the key element to being successful long term as an advisor? And so we're not talking about having a good month or having a good quarter or having a good year. It's really career long success. So let's talk a little bit about that in this episode. What a lot of advisors think is that the key to success is, doing more stuff. So in other words, hey, I need a marketing program. I need a better website. I need practice management. I need technology. And those are all true. They're all true. But the differential, what holds an advisor back from long-term / lifelong greatness is the following. Number one is your belief set. So in other words, what you believe to be true. So your beliefs around life, your beliefs around business, your beliefs around people, your beliefs around success, your beliefs around failure. So for example, if you believe it's hard to get new clients, guess what? It's hard to get new clients. If you believe that you cannot drive introductions and referrals, you're absolutely right. See, the mindset, the belief set drives our behavior. Right? And if we don't believe we're good at something, well, think about this. If you don't believe you're good at something, how much do you want to do it? If I suck at golf, do I want to play a lot of golf, right? If I'm not a good writer, do I want to write a book? No. So the first thing you've got to do is be honest with yourself. This is where a lot of advisors get into trouble, is they lie to themselves. They're dishonest. They look in the mirror and see what they want to see instead of seeing the truth. So you've got to ask yourself, do I believe I deserve to be successful? Do I believe that I can grow? Do I believe I can change? Because look, in this industry, it's all about change. It's all about evolution, right? From technology to compliance to fees to the marketplace to just what's going on in our industry and all. It's all about adapting. And if your brain's like, well, I don't like change. I don't believe I like change, or I don't believe I can change, you're screwed. I don't care 5 years in the business or 50 years in the business, you are going to have problems, my friend. So belief set matters radically. The second thing that matters is your value system. And what I mean by that is what's important to you. So hear me out on this. Let's just say values are emotional states that you want. So let's just say you value freedom, right? So being free to be with my family, free to travel, not having a boss. And a lot of people in this industry, the reason why they got in this industry, because they didn't want to be told what to do. They didn't want to BOSS, right? They wanted to have freedom. Now, as your practice grows, as your business grows, as your success grows, if you do not evolve your model, so if you don't shift and pivot and change, what happens? All of a sudden, there comes a point where every new client is a double-edged sword. It becomes a situation where, well, I've got a new client and I've got more revenue now. I've got a higher level of success, but now I've got another set of calls to do. I've got another person I'm responsible for. I've got another set of reviews I must do. And all of a sudden, you're working harder, longer. It's now starting to affect your freedom. And then what most human beings do when their value system is about to get compromised, they sabotage. They procrastinate. They stop doing the things that got them to a certain point, because all of a sudden now it's not just a pure win. It's a win and a loss because it compromises your freedom. That's why it's so important. That's why it's so important that you always are looking at your practice and looking at how busy you are, how many slots you have, and everything. And if your brain doesn't say, look, I've got to pivot, I've got to adapt, I've got to evolve, you just can't outwork it. See, the first maybe 5 years of a career, it's all about effort. It's all about effort and energy and commitment and desire and doing the suck and getting that all done. But at some point, you got to pivot off of that. And some of you just don't know how to do it. Or you've never thought about it before, and you just think it's going to be more of the same, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And it's really about that. So if you're creating a business model that violates your value system of what's important to you, I'm telling you right now, your subconscious will sabotage it as a protection mechanism. So the question then becomes, if I still want to grow, if I still want to grow my income, look, and I'm not saying it's all about the money, but let's face it, it's all about the money. And you're kind of tapped out on what you're doing. This is why you're frustrated. Because you're sitting here desiring more success, desiring a greater level of economic abundance, desiring, to elevate, and yet you can't because you don't have the model for it. And it's not about the model so much as your belief set on making that change. And you've got to look and say, what's holding me back? So getting back to this whole concept, right, of what holds advisors back from greatness. It is not the practice management stuff. It is not the marketing stuff. It is not, I need practice management, or I need marketing, or I need a podcast or a video cast, or I got to do social ads or all that. I mean, those are all important, so I'm not dismissing them. But that is not the key differential to elevate. I'll make a statement. I want you all to hear this. It's important. Your current bank account is representative of your past mindset / psychology. Your future bank account will be determined by your current / mindset / psychology. So where you are today is a result of how you thought in the past, the actions you took in the past. Where you want to be tomorrow and beyond is all about your thought processes today, your belief sets today, your value systems today, your psychology today. Now, good news, bad news on this. Unlike marketing and practice management and technology and some of the other stuff, you can stroke a check to the right person and get resources, get it fixed, right? So stroke a check, fix a problem. A lot of consultants and coaches thrive on that concept. Stroke a check, fix a problem. The mindset psychology one is not a check stroking issue. While yes, you have to engage a person, it is not that simple. And this is where my work starts. Is you've got to be willing to, first off, look in the mirror and say, you know what? My thinking has gotten me this far, but if I want to double, triple, quadruple my income, I can't think the same way. My thinking must evolve. My mindset must evolve. My psychology must evolve. But the question is, how to evolve it and to what? See, that's where I come in, because that's my specialty, is creating that plan, that process. Because there is a way to take a mindset from A to B, from A to Z. It's work. And unfortunately, it's just not about stroking a check. You got to be willing to identify, do your morning ritual, rep it, get a different set of distinctions, change your habits, your behaviors, your beliefs. Not as easy as stroking a check. But ultimately, that's what holds you back. Now, you sit there and say to yourself, intellectually, that makes total sense. And for some of you, just by listening or watching this, it's like, wow, it's epiphany. Why won't you take action? So once you identify it, why won't an advisor take action on it? I want to tell you. Their ego gets in the way. Their arrogance gets in the way. And fear gets in the way. Now, what do I mean by all three? Ego. I don't need any help. I'm good. The funny part about my work for 25 years, the advisors who desperately need my help rarely will hire me. And if I look at their entire career, the reason why, they've operated the same way for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. I talked to somebody a couple weeks ago, 67 years old, wants to see about hiring a coach. And, I talked to him, and for those of you who know me, I'm pretty blunt. I said, look, anyone of you can have 30 minutes of my time. That's always been my promise here. But I talked, and he took me up on it. And talking to him, I came to the conclusion he was not savable. Because when I asked him, why do you think after 35 years you are where you are? I got this, my firm, my partner. I never heard him say once, I screwed up, or I didn't evolve, or it was everybody else's fault. I said, look, man, I love you to death. I appreciate you. I wish you nothing but the best, but I cannot help you because you're not willing to take responsibility and nobody can help you. And that's your problem. And I'm fine with that. So ego gets in the way, big time. Everybody, it's not I'm okay, it's everybody else, right? Arrogance means that you think you can know all the answers. So I know the answer. I know that. Knowing something and executing are radically different. In fact, the funny part when I work with a client is I've got some good tricks up my sleeve. So it's not like that scenario. But 80% of what I talk about is common sense. I go, is there anything earth-shattering here? No. Well, then how come you haven't done it? Oh, well, now's the silent part, right? So I sit there and I say, you know what you need to do. The problem is you haven't figured out how to do it. That's where I come in. Like, let's figure out how to do this. Because there's not one way of doing something. There's not one way to do a morning ritual. There's not one way to do a business plan. There's not one way to put a personal development game plan together. There's not one way to lead a team. There's not one way to hire a team. Right? It's as unique as the individual. And that's why sometimes when you go to a training or you go to the conference and you hear the people up on stage and they pontificate all their BS half the time, right? And you sit there and you try to internalize it, how to make it work, and you can't make it work, or you forget about it, and you're just kind of rinse and repeat. We all default back to zero, right? So arrogance and ego. Third one, fear. Now, what do I mean by fear? Fear of change. But I don't think it's really that when I really look at my career. What I think it's a fear of? How about if I go down this path and I fail and it doesn't work? Where am I then? So it's almost like, well, I can always go fix that. I can just meander here in mediocrity, but I don't need to go fix it because, my God, if I hire a coach, and I'm not saying it's just me, any coach, I'm going to go hire this out. I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to commit to investing in myself, to getting myself in the right level, stuff like that. And what happens after all that? I still don't accomplish my goals. How about after all that I still fail? And people put that in their minds and they go, you know what? I don't know what that looks like, but I know what this looks like. It's still sucky, but I know it, right? So, familiarity, right? I'm familiar with what I've got. I'm comfortable with it. Happiness and comfortable are two different things. I'm comfortable with what I got, I'm not happy with it, but I'm comfortable with it. And so it's easier to stay than not to. It's easier to stay put than to move forward. So you've got to ask yourself, I said, so what's going on here? So if I'm looking to increase my success, and again, let's just talk about the money for a second. Some of you, maybe you do need to work harder. Some of you need to shift and pivot. Only you know the truth. And that's where we get back to the conversation of the man or woman in the mirror. Because if you got to look at yourself and say, okay, what are the issues? And if you're not willing to take responsibility for some of it, maybe not all of it, maybe there are some situational things, and I respect that. But if you're going to sit here and lie to yourself that it doesn't matter, or I can't fix it, or there's nothing I can do, or I'm just a victim of, the industry and the economy and compliance and my broker-dealer and my firm and my manager, and you're just going to victimize the whole thing. Hey, look, nobody said life is fair. But I'll tell you the ones that win. They understand it's not fair, and they figure out their own rules, and they go get after it. And they'll wallow in it. So that's my challenge, I guess, for every look. In these podcasts, these video casts that I do, my goal is to speak from the heart. I have no script here. I have no bullet points. There's nothing. I just pick a theme and I go. And I just go, and whatever comes out, comes out. Quite frankly, when I do these things, I don't know. I'm maybe a minute in my mind ahead of what comes out of my mouth. Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes maybe not so good. But I'm going to tell you what, I'm always going to shoot straight with you. You may not like it. You may dismiss it. That's okay. I can't help everybody anyway. But if this makes any sense to you, if you think like I hit upon a nerve, come check me out. I offer 30 minutes of my time, Magellan Network, whatever you think is appropriate to you, and you'll know whether or not you and I should hook up. So, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching this episode of the Magellan Network Show. So there you have it. If you really enjoyed watching this episode, go ahead and subscribe to the Magellan Network Show with Coach Joe here on YouTube. And remember, I'm always here to help you become a better entrepreneur, business owner, and financial advisor. With that, I'll see you next time on the Magellan Network Show with me, Coach Joe. Take care and goodbye.